John Skelton, 19, former Arizona Cardinal quarterback. He joins us. John, when it comes to overtime yesterday, do you take the ball or do you kick the ball to start off that overtime?
I'm with Shanahan. I would have done the same thing. I would have taken the ball. And then that way, you score, you get points on the board. You've been holding them in check pretty much most of the game. Obviously, if Mahomes has the ball at the end, your back's against the wall. But I would have done the same thing. You take the ball, you try to score.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I was contending too, John, is that you just got your defense that came off 11-play drive. So you need to get there a little bit gassed. So to turn that ball back over, KC, who's been doing a good job of going down the field anyway, my gun down without any opposition because of that defense being gassed. And I agree with you. Take it, long drive. Unfortunately, got 3 points out of it, but now you still have to have them go down the field, at least get 3 points, if not the 7.
No, totally agree. I didn't even take into fact that long drive to end the game there, but it makes perfect sense. They got the ball. They went right down the field. They ate up much of the clock. I know it's not the old overtime rules where the game would end, but it's the new rules where each team gets to possess the ball, and they did everything right except put it in the end zone, and I think that's a testament to the Chiefs' defense there at the end.
How did you feel that Brock played overall game, watching him play?
He did amazing, man. Just his poise and everything he did from being such a young man and such a big stage and doing so well. I kept with bated breath and anticipation him making that mistake that was going to cost his team, and he just never did. He never faltered. He made some big throws. He made some great decisions. And just overall, I think the kid did a hell of a job.
John Skelton is our guest here on the Right Toyota guest line. I'm real curious to get your thoughts on this. Near the end of the first half, Travis Kelce ran over to Andy Reid. They had the confrontation on the sidelines. Is Kelce in the right or the wrong because they had thrown one pass to him in the first half for 1 yard?
He's 100% in the wrong. He's the guy that should know better at this point in his career, where Mahomes is going to throw it to the right read. He's going to throw it to the guy that's going to get him the best possible play. And it turned out it wasn't him. That touchdown, the first touchdown that they threw, there was double coverage going to Kelce. Yeah, it would have been great if Kelce would have caught a touchdown and all the Swifties would have been happy. But the read and everything dictated, I'm going to throw it up this seam because that's where the guy vacated from. And he's definitely in the wrong, especially the way it happened. I think if the Chiefs would have lost that game, I think more would have been made out of it. But it's a competitor. He's in the heat of the moment. It's not an excuse for him, but he's definitely in the wrong.
All right, then how did it change in the second half? Because he was their best wide receiver then in the second half.
I'll tell you what happened. I think the Chiefs got tired of giving up all those crossing routes to CMC and the Debo across the middle. They said, well, we can do that too, because I think two of his bigger catches were either he came in motion or someone came in motion, which rotated the safeties and allowed Kelce to get open on some of those crossing routes. And I think they just had that play kind of waiting for the right moment. And there at the end, when they knew they needed to throw the ball and kind of start moving some points on the board, that's kind of what ended up happening. That's just the way the game got dictated to them.
And I got to imagine, John, when you watch this game unfold, you basically have McCaffrey opening drive, fumble. You have the Ray-Mary McDonald doesn't jump on the punt. You had several gaps, the blocked extra point. And matter of fact, we were at the CAZ showroom. I said, that's going to come back to haunt him, because all of a sudden you got KC can come down, just get a field goal, tie the game up, as opposed to being forced to have to score a touchdown. So I think some of those gaffes came back to haunt the 49ers. Could have won, but KC always figures out a way.
No, this was a regular season game, or we're in late September, early October, and those mistakes happen. You're like, all right, let's learn from them. Let's move on. Let's try to avoid a punt hitting our heel and getting a turnover down in the red zone. Like, all that stuff is, you kind of look over it in the regular season, but when it's the Super Bowl and the expectations are so high and every little thing like that, comes back to haunt you. A missed extra point, blocked extra point, I should say, a fumble, 2 fumbles late, and A guy like CMC, if he fumbles early, he's still going to have a great game. A guy like Isaiah Pacheco, if he fumbles early, he might shut down because of the stage.
And on top of that, when you look at the game overall, just talk about Mahomes, how his poise. But wouldn't you think to at least try to seal the back end every time he's back in there in reference to backside contain, especially in that fourth in overtime? I mean, was that Andy Reid's basic just genius taking on Steve Wilkes and upping him one more time like he did Jonathan Gannon last year in that Philadelphia game?
So I'll say this, Manish. I think Bosa did a hell of a job all game.
Right.
He kept Mahomes in the pocket. If Mahomes escaped, he escaped backwards. He stepped up and to where his D tackles were there. Bosa did a great job on all but maybe 2 plays of that game, and one of them was chasing down the line and allowing Mahomes to kind of scoot out and get that big first down on I think it was the 3rd and 3 or something towards the end of the game. So that was the one mistake as opposed to closing to that edge. And then the other one was the touchdown pass, and that I think was just a great play call where Mahomes has a 2-way go. I can either tuck it and dive for that 3-yard touchdown or do what he did in the game and just flip it there to McCollum and score the touchdown.
I'm real curious about the officiating because generally after an NFL game, people are always crying about the officiating. John, I have not seen anybody really doing that whatsoever. In your opinion, was this one of the better officiated games that you have seen?
I totally think it was. I think from top to bottom, the way the game was officiated, the way it was ran, everything from top to bottom, I think the NFL's got to be happy with. There wasn't that controversial call. There wasn't anything that someone's going to gripe about a winning team or losing team, especially with all these rumors about it's rigged and there's a script out there.
Yeah.
I was like, and there's nothing for these crazy people to hang their hat on. And I think the NFL from that standpoint did a great job. I also think the fact that you got your crew chief and your officials out there, as well as, I don't know if you guys noticed, it was almost every time there was a little bit of a scuffle, there was like 3 officials who were just wearing black jackets that would run out there and kind of break it up. And I think if the NFL sees how well those guys are doing on the sideline in a big game like this, maybe it'll increase the odds of them adding, an extra official on the sideline that's more of the game manager or someone to keep stuff like that in check.
John, my last one for you. Kyle Shanahan, 0 for 3 in a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator with Atlanta, and now as a head coach with the San Francisco 49ers. Does this taint him as a head coach or as a play caller or all the above, or no? Give him credit for getting his teams there.
Yeah, I was watching the game with my girlfriend, and one of the trivia questions in the pregame came up, like, who's gone to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost? And I was like, oh, the Bills. And she's like, how hard is it to get to 4 Super Bowls, let alone 4 in a row, and lose them? And I was like, well, Shanahan's not doing 4 in a row, but he's going to get to his 3rd here and see what happens. But, the big game, you can put out all the numbers, all the test records. In a Super Bowl game, it comes down to one game.
2.
Right? And I think he did a great job as a coach in that situation. He's a young coach, so I don't know how old he is, but he'll be back. I would imagine that team's going to be back. I don't think him losing a Super Bowl is any reason for a San Francisco 49er fan to panic or look for a change because he can't, quote unquote, win the big game.
John, good stuff as always, man. Thanks for making some time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
It's John Skelton. Follow him on X at John Skelton 19. So appreciate him jumping on with us today. He's brought to you today by All City Towing. If you're looking for a career change and one that pays great with incredible benefits, All City Towing continues to look for new people to join their team. We talk about it every day. Head to allcitytowing.com and search careers. That's All City Towing, statewide service. They answer your call 24/7. Allcitytowing.com. Who won our contest with Twin Peaks?
Shoe, we have our people one way or the other, or no.
I have not looked at the list today since getting in here, but I can look during the break and see who was closest.
Okay, good. We'll figure that out. So good stuff. Coming up, it's our football at 50, even though football is done, and we're just going to shift gears and just talk draft for the next 3 months, which is just, drives me nuts. Absolute nuts. But I think we're going to maybe turn the corner on some Final Four talk since we are hosting the Final Four. in April. So we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff for the Final Four. So hopefully you'll want to tune in